This is a clip from a long form podcast. And what you'll notice is that our content is different. It's more intelligent. Subscribe to our channel and continue receiving such amazing and intelligent content from Discovery of an Author.
Why, for the political Hinduism ideology,
Yes.
is it very important for the leaders and for the future leaders and for also a person like me
Yes.
to understand the history of India, specifically about the invasions of the Mughal Empire, about the Somnath Temple, the fall of the Vijayanagar Empire up to Shivaji? Why is it very important for anyone to even look at the ancient history? And specifically, let's talk about the Mughal invasion, the Somnath, the Vijayanagar Empire fall, and the rise and fall of the Maratha Empire.
Let's begin from this point. When you're taught history in school, you go straight from Gauri, Ghazni, Mughals, British.
Yes. Somewhat Rajput is there, but
Very
that's it.
little.
Very little.
So Lora se Rajput ho gaya.
Bilkul, bilkul.
But that's not how history happened. Between Gauri and Ghazni, there are nearly 300 years. How is it that those 300 years existed? Because those 300 years Indians were resisting. We are never taught that. The Hindu Kush mountains, Hindu clans and tribes were resisting. They were resisting and they gave the biggest fright and, battle to Alexander the Great. Please remember, one of Alexander's most determined battles was against, and he was an emperor, but it was against a tribal chieftain. They called him Porus, we call him Purava.
Yeah, of the Sindh area.
Of the Sindh area. And there too, Purava would have won. Had it not, in classic Indian history, King Ambi, one of his jealous neighbors, gave leaked information to Alexander. ये हमारी इतिहास है. हर बार कोई भारतीय को हमेशा उसको डिफीट करता है, नेगेट करता है, पुल डाउन करता है और बिट्रे करता है. We have a long history of betrayal.
Betrayals.
The same thing happened in the Battle of Plassey. Right? So you see, again and again and again to Prithviraj Chauhan, same thing happened.
Absolutely.
So this history, we have a terrible, torturous history. India cannot rise because Indians betray their own motherland. This is our nasty history. You're an Indian, Raghav, and so am I. We should have the courage to face this history. ये हमारी इतिहास है of thousands of years. Indians betray their own motherland. That's why India cannot rise. If Ambi wouldn't have betrayed Purava, Alexander would have been stopped. Right? Remember, Raja Purava had war elephants.
Yep.
I'm just teaching a course when I'm talking about this. War elephants that the Greeks saw in India, that idea traveled back with them.
Interesting.
Into Greek, other wars in Europe. In fact, they say when Hannibal crossed the Alps and used war elephants, that they got from Africa. But where did they learn this idea of using war elephants? It came from India because of the war elephants that Alexander saw, and his troops were so frightened when they saw the armored war elephants of King Purava. In fact, after the great war with Purava, what does Purava say to Alexander? He says, how should I treat you?
As a king.
Treat me as a king treats another king. And after that, Alexander wants to cross over and, conquer the rest of India. His troops say no.
Yep.
They say if one tribal chieftain is this, God knows what lies once we meet the real kings of India. We don't have the energy and the stamina to fight that.
Nanda Empire.
Imagine what they would have faced, right? So they are very cognizant. They are like, we don't want to fight you. A tribal chieftain on the border has given us this. What are we going to fight when we go inside? But किसी बच्चे को ऐसे नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है हमारे देश में. हमें सिर्फ सिखाया जाता है अलेक्जेंडर आया था हमें हरा दिया.
Conqueror of India. He's been called as a conqueror of India. We name our children as Sikandar. Not Purushottam or
Have you heard anybody call their child Purava?
Nahin. Nobody calls it Purava. They name it Sikandar, but not Purava.
So this is the tragedy of India. You see, this is the tragedy of India. I think there was only one, I remember now that you're talking about it, I think one Bollywood actor's son was called Puru or Purava. Rajkumar. Rajkumar's son was called Puru Rajkumar. Puru Rajkumar, which comes from Purava. Puru, King Raja Puru. So we never call our children Puru. We say Sikandar, like you're saying. It makes no sense. So we are a very self-defeating culture, right? So we fought for 300 years and kept them at bay until Ghazni, between Gauri and Ghazni, right? Actually, India's history is resistance at every step. We are never taught the history like that. We are taught our history as defeats at every step. हार गए, हार गए, हार गए, हार गए. Actually, ये इतिहास नहीं है हमारा. हमने रेजिस्ट किया और जीतने वाले थे, फिर किसी ने बिट्रे कर दिया. हमने रेजिस्ट किया, उनको भगा दिया, फिर वो आए, फिर हमने रेजिस्ट किया, किसी ने बिट्रे किया, फिर हम हार गए. ये हमारी इतिहास है. अगर जिस दिन, the day we start teaching this to our children in school, this country will change. But we don't teach this in our school. We teach our history as a collection of failures and defeats. We must teach our children that actually our history is a history of valiant, vigorous resistance. And wherever we lost, it is because of betrayal. And who betrayed? Not somebody from outside. It is your inside. आपके घर में ही शत्रु था. इसीलिए हमारे संस्कृति में शत्रु बोध इतना कम है. क्योंकि शत्रु, बाहर का शत्रु क्या करेगा आपका? आपके तो घर में शत्रु है. Your real enemy is within. It's not outside.
The cancer is within.
Of course.
And is it true when people say that our history was not written by our historians and it was the conquerors who had written our history?
Today.
Is that the reason we know that we don't know anything about it?
Absolutely. Indian history has been outsourced largely to outsiders. आज भी आप देखिए, a lot of history is being written by outsiders.